a Hall of Fame career in Houston in his second season, leading the Tennessee Titans. On the other sideline, Leslie Frazier, his second season as head coach of the Vikings, told his players this week that after that terrific first quarter of the season, it really is the second quarter of the year where teams really start to separate themselves. Tennessee won the toss. They will have the football to start the game. There's Darius Reynaud, explosive return man for the Titans. Played 2 seasons here in Minnesota. Special teams player of the month for September. Had a 105-yard return for a touchdown in week 3, and here we go. And Blair Walsh boots it out of the end zone. There is Matt Hasselbeck making his 148th career start. Last week he had 193 yards and 2 touchdowns, but also the victim of a couple of pick sixes as the Titans tried to rally against Houston. Just underway here in Minnesota. Titans and the Vikings. Chris Johnson on first down. Fights his way out to the 26. Gain of 6 yards. Here's the Tennessee offensive line. Steve Hutchinson is the former Viking, starting today at left guard. Backs and receivers. Chris Johnson finally broke through last week, and Kenny Britt is active today and listed officially as the starter for the Tennessee Titans. Second and 4. Just the 12th meeting between these two teams. Vikings holding a 7-4 series advantage, including 6 of the 7 here in Minnesota. The delay to Johnson. Bottled up. Battles for a yard. To the 26. Kevin Williams made the stop. Minnesota defense has been terrific. Jared Allen, 22 sacks a year ago. The linebackers have been making plays. Aaron Henderson is back today after missing a couple of games with a concussion. The secondary, a good mix of youth and experience. Jamarcus Sanford starts again at strong safety for Raymond, who will be out at least another couple of weeks. Third and a short 5. Here they come on the blitz. Hasselbeck escapes the first wave, gets rid of it, and that's caught for a first down by Nate Washington.
Well, that gives you an idea of how calm and cool and experienced Matt Hasselbeck is. It was a jailbreak when he dropped back to pass. Watch as the Vikings come pouring in all around him. He ducks under the tackle by Kevin Williams, who's just missed a sack, and then just keeps this play alive. As you see there, Nate Washington just staying alive and available, ends up in the completion.
Washington has been the Titans' leading receiver all 3 seasons since coming over from Pittsburgh. They keep it on the ground, and a nice pickup in the Minnesota territory to the 46. That was good for 12 yards.
Yeah, Washington has been everything they'd hoped he would be when he signed him as a free agent a few years ago. You see there, just a quick slant, just right from the ball, no stem up the field. Hasselbeck sees it, and that's one of the things that as an experienced quarterback coming in off the bench, as Hasselbeck did a week ago, yeah, he struggled in throwing a couple interceptions, but Nate Washington and the rest of this receiving corps are very familiar with having Hasselbeck pull the trigger.
Washington came in averaging 22 yards a catch with 2 touchdowns. Good opening drive for the Tennessee Titans. First down. Out route to Washington. Pushed out of bounds inside the 40 down to the 39. A pickup of 7.
Yes. You see Washington comes out just a little hitch and slide route. And, you know, you think a team like the Vikings, although they know what's going on, they are not getting a break by having Mike Munchak play his backup quarterback. I mean, Hasselbeck is a Super Bowl quarterback with the Seattle Seahawks, and he's a guy that is perfectly suited for this situation.
Kenny Britt has checked in. He's at the top of your screen. Johnson. Not much there. Troy Guion made this stop, 2 sacks last week against the Lions for Guyon. So 3rd and 3. Vikings showing blitz. They back out of it. Hasselbeck has to just get rid of it on the way down.
Oh, and they're calling him down. That's a sack. Hasselbeck started getting rid, and they're calling him down. Jeff Triplett came in from the referee spot and is going to call that as a sack. Hasselbeck's going to try and step up into the pocket, and there's just no room for him as it comes back. And you see there, and I think that's a good call by Triplett. You can't let the quarterback do all of this, and I think that is a sack. Robinson gets it, yeah.
Yeah, Brian Robinson will be credited with the sack, a loss of 8. And so the opening drive fizzles for Tennessee, and they'll have to punt. Fair catch made at the 9-yard line. And that is where the Minnesota Vikings will take over 1st and 10 after a 37-yard punt. The Vikings looking to better their win total from the entire season a year ago and move to 4-1. The Titans hoping to avoid a 1-4 start with Pittsburgh coming into LP Field on Thursday night. First possession for the Vikings. They start inside their own 10-yard line. Ponder guns it near the first down marker. Jerome Simpson, and they wave it off. No catch.
Yeah, this is a catch for a moment. As he brings the ball down, he spikes it into the turf. Great job there. Oh, you see the great defensive play by McCourty, who just pushes his arm down and forces a spike. Great job by the defensive back there.
Jason McCourty in his 4th year out of Rutgers, former 6th-round draft pick back in 2007. 2nd and 10. Peterson. Akeem Ayers made the tackle. Christian Ponder has been solid running the Minnesota offense, eliminating the poor decisions that plagued him a year ago, benefiting from a full offseason in the system. The only starting quarterback in the NFL not to throw an interception through the first 4 games of the regular season. 3rd and 7.
And really, Bill, that's the difference between a 3-1 start and an 0-4 start of a year ago, is the turnovers.
Ponder from the gun. Now on the move, buys some time, dumps it down, but Peterson well short of the first down, and we'll see the punting unit 3 and out for the first possession for the Vikings.
You know, but we've talked, you know, is getting ready for this game as Mike Munchak trying to get his club to rebound off the 1-3 start, but these clubs are about identical. They both had 2nd-year quarterbacks. They both had teams with great running backs, but I think the difference is at this point of the season has to be the play of Ponder not throwing interceptions and Jake Locker and the offense of the Titans turning the ball over too many times.
Chris Kluwe standing near his own goal line. The Titans should come out of this with very good field position. That's a booming punt. Renaud makes the first man miss, and a nice return out close to midfield. 52-yard punt and a 15-yard return. Titans offense has a different feel with Matt Hasselbeck over center. He'll try to up the tempo, getting in and out of the huddle. Not as mobile as Jake Locker, but a quarterback who makes quick decisions and likes to get the ball out early. Starting near midfield, Hasselbeck tipped and incomplete.
Well, you're right about that, as you see Jake Locker there, who sat and watched Matt Hasselbeck last year as he guided this team to a 9-7 record. Jake Locker taking over. Took that shot last week on his non-throwing shoulder, and he'll watch as Hasselbeck takes over. And I'll tell you, every quarterback worth his salt will watch his teammates and his offense run when he's not in there. You can always learn something from a guy like Hasselbeck.
Offset high. Johnson. Such a key, Steve, for him to get by that first line of defense and into the second level, because he is so dangerous when he gets a crease.
Well, everybody's still waiting for him. As you see here, last week he had 141 yards, and in previous 5 games, all he had was 162 combined rushing. I mean, this is a guy who is a feast or famine type of back. I think everybody on the Tennessee team, and maybe the Tennessee fans as well, are just waiting for that moment when he breaks one tackle and springs it for 50 yards for a touchdown.
Damian Williams has checked in. 3rd and 7. Trying to take advantage of this good field position. Hasselbeck floats it out. Welcome to the NFL, Kendall Wright.
And that was Harrison Smith, the rookie safety. Watch as he comes in, and Smith is, I'll tell you one thing about Harrison Smith. He has arrived on the scene in the NFL and made a number of very timely plays for the Minnesota Vikings.
Rookie out of Notre Dame, and he has been a huge addition for the Vikings. They really wanted him coming out of the Senior Bowl. Moved back into the 1st round to get him. He has been a playmaker as a rookie. Punt sails out of bounds. 7:30 left to go in the 1st. No score here in Minneapolis. The 4th year of the NFL's A Crucial Catch campaign, which supports the American Cancer Society. The campaign's main goal is to raise awareness around the importance of annual screenings for breast cancer, especially for women over the age of 40. And nearly every item visible on the field today will be up for auction at NFL.com/auction, with all the proceeds benefiting the American Cancer Society. Great cause and well supported.
I have seen players at every level, youth, high school, college, and now the NFL wearing pink, jumping on board with that. It's been great to see.
Vikings started from the 10-yard line in their first possession, now from the 9. Ponder flush from the pocket. He's going to take off, and he can run. Christian Ponder, a 1st down.
He can really run. When he decides to tuck the football away, you've seen it in this first month of the season, he has really chosen his spots wisely. As he comes out, he could have thrown it to the flat right there, but he decides to tuck it. It's a sensational job by Ponder, not only to get the 1st down, but to slide on time past the marker. He can really cover some ground.
Picked up 13 yards and a little breathing room. Peterson loses one. Minnesota's offensive line, the rookie Matt Khalil, the 4th overall selection out of USC, has filled a huge hole at left tackle. Vikings, of course, with plenty of weapons. Adrian Peterson seems to be back in form, and Percy Harvin is as dangerous as they come, always a step away from breaking a big play. It's officially a loss of 2, 2nd and 12 for Minnesota, their 2nd possession. Ponder off the play action, lots of time, and that's another 1st down.
Great protection, great patience by Ponder. He went from his left all the way back to the right sideline. You watch, great job by Jenkins to get up and take his time and be patient on that route. It took a long time for Ponder to come back to him on the right side, but when he did, Jenkins was open.
Jenkins came over from Atlanta last season, was Minnesota's 2nd leading receiver despite missing the last 5 games. 1st and 10 from the Minnesota 35-yard line. Ponder rolling out, dumps it down. Kyle Rudolph, the tight end, with the reception. Here's a look at the Tennessee defense. They've struggled here in the early going up front. Cameron Wimbley came in from Oakland to try and jumpstart the pass rush. Hakeem Ayers in his 2nd year out of UCLA. He's had a nice start to the season. Tennessee's leading tackler, and then the secondary, Michael Griffin, the Pro Bowl safety. He'll try to help improve a defense that has given up a ton of points this season. 2nd and 7. Up the sideline, Harvin, Percy Harvin with a big play and out of bounds inside the 20.
What a tremendous throw by Ponder. This is preparation and game planning to the nth degree as Ponder drops back and throws this football. He knows he's got the matchup with Vernon. Vernon's not going to bump Harvin at the line of scrimmage. They knew that before the play happened, and Ponder lofted this football up before Ponder was even 8 yards down the football field, and he caught it 20 yards deep. What a sensational throw and perfectly timed route by Harvin.
Percy Harvin, 30 catches for 299 yards coming into week 5, third in the NFL. And that was a big play there. Back to the ground. Peterson. No gain, and let's go for a week 5 update to New York from JB and Boom.
Indy battles back from a 21-3 deficit.
Hey, Bill and Steve, young quarterback Andrew Luck coming of age right here. Touchdown pass to Reggie Wayne. That ball broke the plane of the goal line. 2-point conversion. Donald Brown. Mason Crosby misses a 51-yard field goal attempt as time expired. Colts go on to beat the Packers.
Get the victory for Chuck Pagano, their coach. Bill McAtee, Steve Tasker.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. There are some exciting young teams in the NFL, the Vikings among them, with some great young players, including their quarterback, Christian Ponder.
Defensive tackle Mike Martin came all the way down the line of scrimmage to make that play on Adrian Peterson. That's the thing of both these clubs. If it's a close game, both these clubs, no matter what, are going to keep handing it to their big backs, Chris Johnson, in this case Adrian Peterson, and keep that running game involved. They've got to continue to tackle well, both defenses.
Toby Gerhart is in the game, and that's caught by Jenkins. They're going to have a 1st and goal inside the 5. Michael Jenkins, a gain of 12.
The inside receiver right there at the numbers, and you see as he comes out, Ponder, he forces the defender Babineau to jump back inside at the top of that route, which gives huge amount of separation to Jenkins. Babineau got the idea from Ponder's eyes that Ponder was going to throw that inside, jumped away from Jenkins and gave him the open spot.
1st and goal, Harvin. Great second effort and touchdown, Minnesota.
Tennessee knows that Percy Harvin's going to be a huge part of this game, but they have to find him. Watch at the cluster. Percy Harvin is lined up really in the backfield, and he gets this as an inside handoff from Ponder, and he just acts like a running back. The Titans have got to know where he is, but they've never seen him run from that spot before.
Extra point is good. So Harvin with a 45-yard reception and then a 4-yard touchdown run, and the Vikings are on the board. They lead it 7-0. 9-play drive, 91 yards in just under 5 minutes, and Percy Harvin did it all on that drive, including scoring the touchdown. Squib kick is fielded by Raynaud. Ball is loose, and we'll see how they rule it. They're going to rule he was down. So no fumble.
Yeah, that ball was out after they had rebounded off the turf.
Jeff Triplett is our referee today. 7-0 Minnesota here in the 1st. Back after the Minnesota touchdown. The Titans will try to respond. They'll start 1st and 10 from their own 32. Chris Johnson in the backfield. And they give it to Johnson, and no running room. This Minnesota defense has been terrific, much improved this year.
You see here, defense is about a couple of things: stopping the run and also defending the pass. But they defend the pass both in the pocket and, as you see there, in the secondary. You defend the pass on both ends, and you stop the run at the line of scrimmage, taking away the cutbacks of Chris Johnson. Minnesota's defense has really taken a step forward this year under the tutelage of Alan Williams, their defensive coordinator.
Vikings had 5 sacks last week. They harassed Matthew Stafford all afternoon. Hasselbeck Almost picked off. Was trying to hit Craig Stevens. And that was nearly intercepted by Chad Greenway.
Yeah, Chad Greenway saw the tight end coming off and decided to drop. Did not decide to drop. His responsibility was back to his left. He saw Hasselbeck's eyes, and he just never dropped out. Hasselbeck expected him to drop into his wide zone, and Greenway just stayed right where he was. He saw the tight end and jumped all over it.
Titans avoid a costly mistake, but now facing 3rd and long, 3rd and 12. Hasselbeck steps up, and now he's going to have to run. Dives forward, close to the first down marker.
It looked like he was just shy of it. We'll see what the spot says. Hasselbeck knew where it was, but it's a question of whether he did. Now, because he drove head first, he gets forward progress. If he'd have gone feet first, it's wherever he was down. But because he went head first, he has to be touched. You see there, now, we saw Christian Ponder run. Hasselbeck, a 14-year veteran, it's a little bit different. But this is going to be very close. You see him bringing the chains out.
He's got it.
I think the first downs the Titans have been able to convert have all been about Matt Hasselbeck. And you see there, he's down when he gets hit.
12-yard scramble on 3rd and 12. So first set of downs for the Titans, trailing 7-0 from their own 42. And a whistle before the snap.
This could be a timeout or a challenge.
They're going to challenge the spot.
Minnesota is challenging the ruling of a first down on the previous play.
All right, they'll take a look and we'll step aside. Vikings lead it 7-0.
It's a still picture.
Awaiting the verdict from the challenge. Jeff Triplett, our referee. Let's take another look, see if there's enough to overturn here.
He's got to get just to the 42 or short of the 42, and I don't know, that he's got to get to about right just shy of the 42. Now they gave him almost to the 42. The point of the football is on the 42. He's got to get just shy of it. And it might be the fact that it's just impossible to get an angle that will show us enough to overturn that.
No question that Matt Hasselbeck knew how far he had to go. One of the real cerebral quarterbacks in the National Football League, a 3-time Pro Bowler. Let's take another look.
Now, it doesn't matter that his knee or ankle are down. He has to be touched. And you see, he's being made contact with right there, and his arm is right there. So if you can cross-reference that with a different angle and somehow find that he is short or see that he is short. Now, when his foot is, there you go. And that may be that the ball was right there when his arm was in the same position, and that would be well short. So they're talking it over. You can do that. It used to be, in the old days, they couldn't do that, but now they can use two different angles and deduce the truth of the matter. And I think Hasselbeck, under those conditions, is short of the first down. When Leslie Frazier threw the challenge flag, we both thought it was a bad idea. It might not turn out that way.
After reviewing the play, the runner goes face first in and is touched down with the ball just over the 41-yard line. We're going to remeasure to see if he made the line to gain.
Well,
So they're going to move it back a little bit, and now they're going to remeasure.
Well, they moved it almost 2 football lengths, and it was past, the back of the football was almost touching the first down marker. So I think he's going to be short.
same distance short of the first down. So a very good challenge from Leslie Frazier.
And that was a third down play. But now it is fourth down, and there's no question. You got to punt this away this early in the football game, and that was a really good challenge by Leslie Frazier. And I'm telling you, with what we had seen before the next snap was going to occur, I thought that was a roll of the dice at best, and it turned out great for the Vikings.
Well, if they're going to punt, they certainly are fooling us because they're not in punt formation.
They don't have. This looks more like a wildcat formation.
So 4th and inches. CJ, and he's got the first down and more, and that surprised everyone. The Vikings never really adjusted. They just assumed that they were going to punt it away, and they still had the deep man in and didn't call a timeout.
That was safety Jordan Babineau. This is a defensive back here. He's the normal up back and one of the personal protectors on the punt team, and the Vikings know something's up. They just don't, they've never seen it. They don't know what's coming, so they're kind of on their heels, and that's all it takes for a football league. Great job by Babineau, a defensive back playing wildcat quarterback.
Jordan Babineau, normally a safety, gets the first down. Now it's Chris Johnson. Fumbles the football. The Vikings say they have it. And they do.
Yeah, this is gonna. Yeah. Now this may be, there's a flag out late because there is some pushing and shoving and pulling. Guys pulling. Matt Hasselbeck got ripped off the pile by a Vikings defender, and the official finally stepped in and threw a late flag. Smith once again making a timely defensive play, recovering that fumble in traffic. And this ball, there's no question, that is a fumble. It's out very early, and that's Smith right there. Spears it, brings it in. Now it's a question of can he come out of there with it.
Jasper Brinkley made the initial hit, and it's the rookie Harrison Smith who
After
recovers the fumble.
Dead ball, personal foul, number 20 in the defense. 15 yards. It will still be first down, Minnesota.
They call it on Chris Cook, the cornerback.
Well, and this play unravels as Johnson puts the ball on the turf. Harrison Smith picks it up, and then he's got to turn away inside the pile, and then it's a push and shove. And let's face it, we've seen how the ball can change hands 1 or 2 or 3 times underneath that pile. And we've all seen in the replacement officials how possession can mean so much when the play's over.
So an unusual sequence, but the Vikings have it. There's a flag on the play, and Adrian Peterson is dragged down from behind by Alteron Werner.
Holding, number 74 in the defense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
I think he means offense.
Call that on Charlie Johnson, the left guard. This Minnesota offensive line has done a nice job. Matt Khalil, terrific addition. 4th player selected overall, the rookie out of USC.
Vikings trying to take advantage of another Tennessee turnover. They've been plagued by it in the first month of the season.
So 1st and 20 after the penalty. Get it off before the quarter ends. Peterson. Forward progress got to the 21. So that's the end of the first quarter. We'll return to Minneapolis after these messages. You're watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 47. Turnovers have been a huge problem for the Tennessee Titans. Now -7 on the season. Near the bottom of the NFL. 2nd and 18.
Ready?
As we start the second quarter. Play action. Ponder. Up top. That's caught. Aroma Shadu.
It's a little bit of a double-edged sword for the Vikings. playing against the Titans. The Titans are a defense that has struggled mightily early in the season. They've given up more points than anybody in the NFL. So if you don't play well, if you're the Minnesota Vikings, it'll cause concern. But for the Vikings, it's also an opportunity to solidify a young quarterback with a receiving core, and today it looks like they're doing well.
Roma Shadu came in averaging over 17 yards a catch. Left side, Harvin. Close to the 45.
And that'll tell you all you need to know. Percy Harvin, who has emerged, as we said in the open and throughout this first quarter, is a guy that the Vikings, right on the backfield, they're lining him up everywhere just to get him an opportunity to touch the football offensively. They'll put him back for kicks. They'll line him up a wide receiver in a cluster. And, of course, now as a running back, I mean, this is a guy that has made such a splash and is so hot right now. They want to give him every opportunity they can.
Christian Ponder continues to be efficient, 6 of 7 for 97 yards. Incomplete. That time Harvin could not bring it in. And Mouton was the defensive back, the nickel back, who knocked it loose.
And now for the Titans, here they are. They've got Harvin defended. They've got a full complement of him now. Adrian Peter comes back on all fresh and rested after a couple of plays off. Now they've got to contend with Adrian Peterson in the backfield.
Ponder checks it down. McCarthy made the stop on Peterson. McCarthy has been a huge missing piece for this Tennessee defense. Took over as the starter at middle linebacker midway through his rookie season. Made an immediate impact. Titans have been struggling without him.
Yeah, they need all their guns fully loaded to come in and compete with this Minnesota team on the road. And playing pretty well defensively early on.
Louis. Renaud calls for the fair catch and makes it at the 18-yard line. And that is where Matt Hasselbeck and the Titans will go to work with 13:08 left to go in the half. Titans fans here in Minnesota as their Tennessee Titans take over 1st and 10 from their own 18-yard line, trailing 7-0. Hasselbeck, play action. Tunatai checks it down. It goes to Quinn Johnson, the big fullback. Nice pickup on 1st down. Will join the NFL and the American Cancer Society in the fight against breast cancer by supporting the A Crucial Catch campaign. Visit NFL.com/auction to bid on authentic NFL pink gear worn by players and coaches. 15-yard pickup, so 1st down from the 32. Movement before the snap penalties have been a problem for the Titans.
Number 73 in the offense. 5-yard penalty. It's still 1st down.
Steve Hutchinson, the former Viking, moved early.
And Mike Munchak, we spoke to him yesterday, is just a team that has really, you don't get to 1 and 3 all by yourself, but you certainly help it along when you turn it over 7 times thus far in the season. And you're -7 on the, you turn it over 8 times and you're -7 on the season.
Washington and Britt to the near side of the field. They run the screen. It's tipped. Stevens ruled down.
That ball was tipped right out of Hasselbeck's hands. He's going to try and get this. Nobody's supposed to block those guys, and bang, he got tipped by Robinson. Stevens managed to pull it in.
Going the wrong direction.
After a good play, the opening of the drive on a bootleg, Hasselbeck's taking 2 plays backwards.
They have to get all the way close to the 43-yard line for a 1st down. Javon Ringer is in the backfield now for Tennessee. 3 receivers to the left. Hasselbeck, that was almost intercepted. Nice jump on the ball by Jamarcus Sanford, starting at strong safety today.
Sanford had a great game last week against Detroit, had a forced fumble and fumble recovery, and you see there as he breaks on the football, he reads the eyes, which is what a safety is supposed to do. They play center field, watch the quarterback, The quarterback will never throw the football where he's not looking. And safeties, it's an art form for those guys to anticipate where the quarterback is going to throw the football before he does it.
Kenny Britt, who missed last week with the ankle injury, was the intended receiver. 4 wide receivers set on 3rd and a ton. Intercepted. Antoine Winfield, the veteran.
Well, Hasselbeck stared his receiver down as he drops back to throw. He didn't look anywhere else except at Washington and let this go early and threw it right into the chest of Winfield. As he drops back, you'll watch his eyes and head are looking straight towards Washington the whole way, and he just stares him down.
And after the play, a flag came in, so we'll check the penalty. Looks like the turnover will stand.
After the last turnover, the fumble by Chris Johnson, the Vikings got a personal foul.
After the play is over, first a foul, unnecessary roughness, number 22. Throw an official out of the direction. He has disqualified himself from the game.
Oh, he threw a punch.
And that is the rookie, Harrison Smith, who has been a big part of this defense.
If he threw a punch, even if he doesn't connect, and even if it's open-handed, he has to be ejected, and he'll have to leave the bench area and go shower. He's done for today. He's been disqualified. And that is a huge, huge loss for the Viking defense. Harrison Smith has been playing lights out since the moment this season began, and he has got to call it a day.
This is a guy who has been a huge contributor to the Viking defense, and they are going to miss him. After the turnover, great field position for the Vikings. Peterson churning the legs, and more flags as he's brought down at the 38-yard line by Zach Brown.
And now the Tennessee defense brings a little extra something towards Adrian Peterson, and 2 flags come in for a late hit on that
tackle.
tackle.
Play is over, unnecessary roughness. Personal foul, number 94. Unnecessary roughness. 15-yard penalty, and at the end of the run, first down.
Senderic marks on that play, and then a moment ago, as this plays over right there. There's that. Oh, I see. Oh, he threw the official. He threw the official off himself, and that does it. You can't make aggressive contact with an official.
1st and 10. Short drop for Ponder. Oh, ripped out. And they will rule an incomplete pass.
Oh, that looked like a catch fumble to me. Wow, I'm surprised at that. It looked like Rudolph pulls this in, brings it down, and then the ball comes out. I think that's a catch fumble. It's a great defensive play by Akeem Ayers.
Ripped it out, and Jordan Babineau came up with it. Rudolph, the intended receiver.
No challenge forthcoming.
And an incomplete pass. Titans showing blitz, and here they come. 2nd and 10 to the end zone. Simpson, the intended receiver, incomplete.
I think the Vikings dodged a bullet, and they almost went for the jugular vein after that, what should have been a forced fumble. They tried to get the touchdown. Well defended, as you see. McCourty turns his back to the receiver and plays the football and wedges him out of bounds, just kind of plays the receiver out of bounds. Great defensive play by McCourty.
Simpson made his Vikings debut last Sunday after a 3-game suspension. 3rd down. Ponder under pressure, and somehow manages to fight his way back to the line of scrimmage, and another flag.
This one I don't agree with. The first one I do, this one I do not. If the quarterback is going to tuck the football and run, he's going to be just like a running back, and I don't think that would have been called if Adrian Peterson would have been being tackled.
There is no foul on the play as the quarterback went head first in. He is a runner, therefore it is not a helmet-to-helmet hit. He is a runner, so it is not a helmet-to-helmet hit.
And Jeff Triplett agrees with you.
That's right, although Jeff Triplett's the one who threw the flag in the first place. And you see there, and that's a normal play in the NFL. Ponder is protected. He's going head first. He's a runner. It's like a running back.
So we'll see Blair Walsh, who made the first 9 field goal tries of his NFL career before finally missing one last week. 3 of those 9 were from 50 plus, from 42 yards out, and he's got it. The rookie continues to pay dividends as the Vikings extend their lead 10-0. 10-0 Vikings after the 42-yard Blair Walsh field goal. 10:27 left to play in the opening half. Darius Reynaud is back deep. And he will not get a chance. He almost went into the stands. So this defense will have to play without one of their young bright lights, Harrison Smith, who has been productive from day one.
Now you see the huge pass break up against Jacksonville. Then he knocks the touchdown pass out of the hands of Megatron, and then today he stops the crucial 3rd down conversion against the Titans and then recovers the fumble of Chris Johnson and comes out of a nasty stack up with it to give him the ball.
Chris Johnson gets it on 1st down. Finds his way forward for a couple.
And Harrison Smith was ejected for making contact with an official, and we watched it on tape, and he didn't even know the official was standing next to him, let alone it wasn't an aggressive act towards an official. He was talking, and John, with the Titans players, and the official inserted himself between and then threw the flag.
Mistrell Raymond is out. Andrew Sendejo inactive, out as well. So Finn at safety, and we've got movement before the snap. And it looks like they're going to get the Titans
Number
again.
76 to the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
Big country.
A few moments ago, Harrison Smith has to go up the and that's it. I mean, he doesn't get to come back in. And that's really, really disappointing for a young player who's making such a difference.
Hasselbeck wide open. Breaks Stevens, the tight end. Stevens has been solid as the Titans' 2nd tight end. He came in with 9 catches for 138 yards and a touchdown.
Coming all the way across the formation, Hasselbeck finds him immediately. And because that fumble went out of bounds forward, it goes back to the point where Stevens lost it. So that's why it's at the 35 and not the 37. Taking over for Harrison Smith in the secondary is 36 Robert Blanton. He's a rookie out of Notre Dame.
1st and 10. Johnson trying to bounce it to the outside, and he is wrapped up just past the 35 by Chris Cook. Great to have the commissioner with us today. Roger Goodell is in town to see the game and
sitting in the stands.
Meet with business and community leaders here with his family.
A lot of people here in Minneapolis, St. Paul think his presence at the crux of the stadium issue for the Vikings was the turning point that put it over the top and allowed them to pass a new stadium bill here in Minnesota for the Vikings.
Like to have that stadium open and ready to go in 2016 right on this site. And 2nd down, incomplete. Cook knocked it away.
You can't play that any better than Chris Cook just played it.
Intended for Nate Washington.
That was a sensational play by a defensive back. Watch as he shadows Washington, breaks on the football, keeps his left arm off and swats the ball away with his right. Wow, making it look easy. I can't tell you how athletic and sharp you have to be mentally to make a play like that on a player like Nate Washington.
Titans 1 of 5 on 3rd down, facing 3rd and 8 midway through the second quarter. Hasselbeck again with time. That is caught by the rookie Kendall Wright. He's going to be short of the first down. Dropped at the 41.
Yeah, this play took so long. As you see, comes out. Kendall Wright's going to hook up, but the play takes so long to develop. He comes back to Hasselbeck, which is what you're supposed to do, but he has to come back so far that he comes back behind the first down marker, and it ends up in a 4th and 4. He was past the first down marker, but because the play took so long to develop, they lost the first down yardage.
Chad Greenway and Chris Crook combined to make the stop. Greg Kern on to punt it away. Fielded at the 10, and there's a marker down on this side.
Well, this is going to be a hold on the Vikings on the return.
Marcus Sherrills, but there's a flag all the way on the other side of the field from where he was stopped. A 49-yard punt for the moment, a 26-yard return.
This will be tacked on to the...
During the kick, holding number 21 of the return team. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
7:34 left to go in the half. And all Vikings so far. After the penalty, the Vikings will start backed up close to their own end zone. From the 5. Touchdown drive of the game was 91 yards, so they've been able to march it down the field. Play action, slant to Harvin. He's got a first down out across the 20. Zach Brown and Colin McCarthy combined to make the stop after a gain of 18.
He's going to run just a quick slant, thin post, and Ponder puts it right on him. He knows where the defenders are. That's why he stuck his foot in the ground and tried to pivot outside. He knows the safety's coming down. And he's going to get hit. And then, of course, 4 guys pile on him. If you're going to catch the football a lot, there's going to be more and more guys looking for you when you've got the ball in your hand.
Ponder 8 of 12 for 118 yards. Harvin 2 catches for 63. Adrian Peterson has been bottled up so far today. Get live score updates for all your favorite teams with the new CBS Sportscaster app. Available on select devices. Visit cbssports.com/mobile or text SCORE to 42777 to get your free app. 2nd and 9.
Yup, do it.
The delay, quick opener, nice hole for Peterson, and he romps out to the 45. Great lead block from Jerome Felton, the fullback. They hit that hole in a hurry.
Well, this is a good 2-back set. They're lined up right there. Watch. Peterson's going to follow his fullback, and wherever the fullback goes, Peterson goes the opposite way. Right up the hash mark, right over the spot where the football was snapped, right up the gut of the Tennessee defense. You can snap off a run that long up that spot, you've got the defense on its heels.
Peterson now 8 carries for 30 yards. Play action. Ponder. Incomplete. Going for Harvin on the sideline.
Trying to hit the deep out. And you notice as well on that play, when Ponder turned around and faked a handoff to Adrian Peterson, the entire defense froze. They thought, wow, here it comes. And then he pulled it back, and he had lots of time to stand back there and wait for Harvin to try and get open. That play action after the play we just saw right up the gut really was effective in giving Ponder a lot of time.
Hey, son, fuck up.
2nd and 10. 5.5 minutes left in the quarter. Slant, and that is caught in Tennessee territory. Devin Aromashadu Dropped right away by Jason McCourty.
And this, yet again, is another quick route. You know, it's amazing, but Ponder, in the good season that he's had in the first month, is the only criticism people are talking about with Ponder is that he never throws the football down the field, or at least doesn't do it enough. And you see here, with the running game going as it has been, no reason for the Vikings to think about taking shots down the field when he's completing 70% of his passes, and every one of them is for almost a first down.
Gerhart fights for the first down.
And that, for a third and less than a yard, is an easy conversion for the Vikings, and it gives them a chance to stay on the field. Mike Munchak told us yesterday one of the keys for his Titan team defensively, and it sounds simple, but it's not easy. You got to get off the field. The Titans have defended a lot of plays defensively. Even in the game they won, their defense had 90 snaps, which is about 30 more than they wish they had.
So first down. Ponder, by the way, has now gone 138 attempts without throwing an interception.
And let's face it, even in today's game, with Hasselbeck throwing the interception and then losing the fumble from Chris Johnson, that's the difference in this game. Minnesota not turning it over and converting on 2 of its opportunities. Tennessee giving the football away.
Gerhart stays in the game. Play action. Ponder with some running room, and he takes off. Out of bounds at the 33. Scramble for 11 yards for Christian Ponder.
Well, I've seen Ponder play every game this year, and it really catches you off guard how fast he is. Now, he reminds me of Steve Young. I mean, Steve Young was a quarterback, went to the Hall of Fame being able to run and, of course, throw from the pocket as well, winning the Super Bowl. But Ponder has got that kind of athletic ability. It's shocking to see him run so fast.
He's slight in the stance. Ready!
Throw on first down. Underneath. Harvin. And fights his way for another Minnesota first down. McCourty again on the stop.
Yeah, look at Ponder laughing with the official. It's all good to him now. This is a guy, Ponder, who put on 10 pounds in the offseason with training and eating and, you know, trying to get a little bigger. And the heavier a guy is back there, the more durable he is too, because if you're going to play quarterback, you're going to take some shots.
We talked to his teammates about Christian Ponder. They all say he's so much more decisive, knows what he's looking for when he comes to the line of scrimmage, really benefited from a full off season in the system.
Ready!
First down. Try to run it. Tennessee with a swarming defense. Terrell Casey led the charge. Up there by Zach Brown, the linebacker.
Yeah, you're going to get Ellison, who's going to he's going to miss his block. He's going to go in motion here, come back and try and get a block here, and he's going to completely whiff on it, which is exactly why the play doesn't work. He whiffs on Casey, and Casey makes the tackle.
2 former teammates from USC.
Ready!
Casey wins that battle, so second and 11. Peterson came out of his shoe. Well, someone did, because there's a shoe back at the 25-yard line.
This is an impressive drive by the Vikings. Methodical, and the reason you think it's methodical is they haven't had a play of like 25 yards, not big plays. They've been 7-8 yard plays, converting first downs off of second down, maybe converting a third and very short. But as you see, there's one of those pink towels that gets left on the turf behind Peterson. Impressive drive thus far for the Vikings.
Reached the 2-minute warning. Vikings are threatening. The Minnesota Vikings trying to add to their lead. 2 minutes left in the half, but facing a 3rd and 5 from the Tennessee 18. Ponder guns it incomplete. Kyle Rudolph, the tight end, was the intended receiver, and McCourty almost got an interception off the tip.
Now that was thrown into some traffic, to say the least.
It was almost intercepted twice. Jordan Babineau had a shot at it. So Blair Walsh already has one field goal today. This from 36 yards out and right down the middle. Rookie has been solid. Extends the Vikings lead to 13-0. The Vikings trying to move their record to 4-1, coming off a big divisional win on the road last week in Detroit. On the road again at Washington next week, then back-to-back games here at home against Arizona and Tampa Bay. And after the second Blair Walsh field goal, they lead it 13-0. Terrius Reynaud, Special Teams Player of the Month for September. Back deep, hasn't had a chance. Walsh has done just that. So they'll bring it out to the 20. Coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cower for all the latest NFL scores and highlights from Week 5. That's all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. See what the veteran Hasselbeck can do with a minute 52.
Both teams with all 3 timeouts. But I think it's important for Tennessee just to get something positive going, at least come away with 3 points, at least have the attempt at the end of this half.
Javon Ringer is in the backfield with Hasselbeck. And there was a whistle before the snap.
That's like a morale ball in practice.
Number 89 in the offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
A morale ball is when the coach tells his quarterbacks that, hey, throw the defense one so their morale gets boosted.
Well, if you're the Tennessee Titans, I don't think you want Minnesota's morale to be any more boosted than it already is.
You don't want to throw a morale ball in the 2-minute drill.
But Jared Cook stopped running, so in all fairness, he knew the play was dead.
Yeah, I think everybody did.
1st and 15. Hasselbeck checks it down and incomplete. Ringer was the intended receiver and tried to run before he had the football.
Yeah, this is a point when this front 4 of the Vikings is really going to rear back and try and get to Matt Hasselbeck. You know he's going to want to get rid of the football very quickly. Jared Allen, who has not had not very many sacks, as a flag comes out and they're walking off the penalty now.
There was a late flag. We'll get the call.
Minnesota has elected to decline that foul. It'll be 2nd down.
So they had marched it back, and now they're going to put it where the play was whistled dead after the incomplete pass. So 2nd and 15.
Yeah, this Viking team is going to get a chance to rush the passer, and they know it. Jared Allen hasn't had very many sacks this year, but he is a guy that knows they come in bunches. He says it a lot, and these are the situations where he's going to get a lot of opportunities.
Ringer stays in the game, and they dump it off to him in the flat, and he's brought down by Greenway for little gain.
Vikings showing good speed. Greenway chasing that play all the way to the sidelines. Looked like it had a chance to maybe break off a 5 or 7 yard gain. It turned into a 2-yard gain with the speed of Greenway.
Crowd can really become a factor here in Minnesota. They can be loud at Mall of America Field, and they can certainly cause problems for teams when they come in here. And they're loud right now. 3rd and 13. Well, they come on the blitz, and down goes Hasselbeck. Jared Allen.
Oh, the Vikings did a great job. Everybody chips or double teams Jared Allen. So what the Vikings do is they bring an extra guy over so nobody can chip him. They bring the linebacker up, so there's only 3 protectors and there's 3 rushers. And Jared Allen is the guy that slips through the middle.
Minnesota, they're first.
That's great. A great job by Alan Williams,
1 minute, 37
the defensive coordinator. They knew the protection and they used it to get their best pass rusher free.
Vikings call a timeout, looking for more with a minute 37 left in the half. Brett Kern standing back in his own end zone, punts it away. Marcus Sherrill's the deep man. Feels it at the 42 and then pushed out of bounds immediately. 1:29 left to go in the half. Jordan Babineau made the stop after the 52-yard punt. And coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, join the fellas in New York, JB and company, for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. That's all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report from this busy Week 5.
Sensational job by the Viking defense. Jared Allen, that front four, getting the Titan offense off the field in the 2-minute drill and giving Ponder and company a chance to add to their lead before halftime.
Vikings with 2 timeouts remaining. Ponder stands in, and that is caught by Jenkins close to midfield. Looking for more points before halftime. Vikings already lead it 13-0. Second and short. Ponder pump fake. Jenkins, he's leveled, and that will draw a flag. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Michael Griffin, the safety, did not pull up.
That's a defenseless receiver, and Michael Griffin lit him up. I don't think Mike Munchak likes the call.
No, he does not agree.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, hit on a defenseless receiver, number 33 of the defense. It's a 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
You see there, that's helmet to helmet, led with his head, went too high. You got to go a little lower on that. And I think that's an easy call.
So first down, just over a minute to go in the half. Ponder gets rid of it to Harvin. Percy Harvin.
Right now, the Tennessee Titans are reeling. The penalty, along with this offense going up-tempo, is a little bit more than they're able to handle, particularly with all the weapons in the backfield for Ponder. And Percy Harvin, with the play fake away from him, gives him a lot of space when the defense takes a false step, and that's all he needs.
Easily within field goal range for Blair Walsh. First down. Rudolph, the tight end.
They'll take their timeout.
Timeout for the Vikings. 28 seconds left in the half. Well, Tuesday on CBS, there's a new sheriff in town and new trouble in Vegas. Don't miss TV's #1 news show, Vegas, Tuesday, only CBS. Take a look at the numbers, very one-sided for the Vikings. 227 yards to 88 for Tennessee.
That doesn't even mention the turnovers.
They come on the blitz. Ponder. And he's... no, it's not an interception. Mouton thought he had it, but couldn't maintain control, and the streak continues.
That was Ponder's version of the morale ball we were just talking about. He threw, I mean, that was right at Mouton, and he couldn't pull it in.
Jenkins was the intended receiver.
Jenkins wasn't going to get that.
3rd and 11. They rush 4. Ponder buys some time with his feet. Tipped. And there is the interception. And the streak will come to an end. Robert Johnson with the interception.
The triple tipped interception off an open receiver causes Ponder to throw his, that's behind it. 2 guys. First interception of the season.
In 145 pass attempts.
And that's an example of points that Minnesota won't get. I mean, that was an easy 3 points You can't give anything away, but Blair Walsh is a pretty good kicker who's going to hit that. He's already hit one from further than that would have been had that not happened. So they were in field goal range, and that's going to cost Minnesota 3 points. And the Titans will probably take a knee. I think Triplett and the officiating crew are going to come over and review this play to see if this actually ended up with Johnson's feet inbounds with control of the football.
Let's take a look.
Rudolph tips it. It's all about that, whether he has 2 feet in bounds.
Alteron Werner had a chance for it as well. Johnson was the one who kind of batted it his direction. Too high and behind the tight end Rudolph. So after avoiding an interception on the previous play, at least for the moment, the ruling on the field is it's an interception for the Titans.
Yeah, and this is as big a review as the Titans have had all season. They need this to go in their way. And from the angles we've just seen, there's no way to overturn what was called on the field. .15 seconds left in the half. And
Christian Ponder's last interception came in week 17 of last season against the Bears. He was picked off by Charles Tillman, who returned it 22 yards for a touchdown. It was a tough season in terms of decision making for Ponder, who came in with no off season.
right, and that gets kind of washed away in the midst of this season, but to come in and start at the NFL level, never having practiced during the off season, just come in training camp and go, and it's just impossible to do. And you see, we talked to Bill Musgrave, the offensive coordinator of the Vikings. What a huge step Ponder made during the off season with being able to watch film and dissect his own play from a year ago.
After review, the ruling on the field stands.
So the interception stands, and we suspect that the Titans will take a knee. And Jeff Triplett, a little winded.
Yeah.
All the way to the other side of the field.
The other end of the field.
It was not a stopwatch for that 40 time.
It's a sundial.
And Hasselbeck takes the knee, and we'll let time expire in the first half with the Minnesota Vikings leading it 13-0. And we'll be back with the Verizon halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 47. Nothing Minnesota as we're ready to start the third quarter. Bill McAtee back with Steve Tasker, and how impressive were Percy Harvin and the Vikings on defense.
Well, we thought Percy Harvin would be a focal point of the Vikings offense, and he has been. He's got 87 yards receiving. The Titans have 87 yards of offense. They've moved him all over the football field. As you can see, he's probably going to return this opening kickoff if he gets the opportunity. They want the football in his hands. He's been the perfect complement to Adrian Peterson and Christian Ponder.
All right, let's take a look at our Droid Razor M play presented by Motorola. Christian Ponder handing off to Percy Harvin for the touchdown from 4 yards out. That's set up by a 45-yard pass play, Ponder to Harvin, and that got the Vikings off to a good start. The numbers from the first half very much in favor of Minnesota. 226 total yards, only 88, Steve, as you mentioned, for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, first downs 14 for Minnesota. They have had a ball control type of offense. They had the one play down the sidelines to Harvin, but they have just completely controlled time of possession and the football throughout that first half.
And Percy Harvin is back deep as the Vikings will have the football to start the second half. Moronis boots it away. And they'll bring it out to the 20. And let's take a look at the opening half. Percy Harvin, very much a factor.
Down the sidelines for really the big play of the half, and then this one, handing it off to him out of the backfield. Once again, right out of the backfield. This is not something they've done a lot of, but today it's been a big part of what they're doing. Of course, you know he can play wide receiver.
Total yards for Harvin, 95. Rushing and catching the football. Tennessee only 88 yards total offense in the first half. They run the delay. Nice hole right side. Peterson. Jason McCourty finally wrote him down.
Well, it's a great job at halftime by the Minnesota coaching staff. They saw something in Tennessee's front that if they got into a certain formation, it would give them an opportunity to run it right up the middle. He's going to follow his fullback. That's been his job for the day.
Jerome Felton, another nice block, and he clears the way.
Yeah, it's just a little lead dive play. And I'll tell you, he might have had a knee injury, but Adrian Peterson does not look different to me.
Into Tennessee territory. Keep it on the ground. Peterson to the 45. And they rule that the whistle had sounded. Play blown dead.
Yeah, we spoke to him after, so much was made out of the catastrophic knee injury he suffered in week 16 of last year. He told us, we asked him, okay, now when did you really start getting up and around? He goes, well, like a week after surgery, I was like trying to hobble around. So he was butting heads with the doctors and training staff on how fast he should take it in his recovery.
2nd and 9, and great penetration by the Tennessee front. Derek Marks was the first one there. A little more on AP.
Well, this is
since 2007 when he came into the league, and that's pretty good production.
Yeah, he is an elite running back, has been since he set foot on the NFL, on an NFL field, and he continues to be.
66 rushing touchdowns. 3rd and 12. Ponder intercepted. Babineau with the turnover. And after going the first 4 games without a pick, Ponder throws 2 quick ones.
And this was a throw that he thought he could fit in, and Babineau just wouldn't let him. Babineau, reading his eyes, just dropped back off of Harvin and got into the throwing lane. Babineau catching Harvin there, coming across shallow, sloughs off deep, and gets in front of Simpson.
Ponder had the interception that he threw at the end of the first half with the Vikings threatening, and now another one. Johnson fights his way for 3.
It was a hard 3-yard run. Ponder, he thought he could get that in there. Did not think Babineau, and it wasn't Babineau's play to make, which is why Ponder went ahead and tried to throw it. But Babineau read the play and fell off of his responsibility into the throwing lane. Ponder, 2 in a row.
Two consecutive passes result in interceptions after 144 straight without a pick. Johnson cannot turn the corner, and that was a nice open field tackle made by Aaron Henderson, who's back after missing the last 2 games with a concussion.
Well, you come out after halftime and you've gotten an earful from your coaches, not rah-rah stuff, but X's and O's and things you want to look for. And I think it's obvious in the early going. The Minnesota Viking defensive coordinator, Alan Williams, told his guys, listen, they don't have anybody that can hurt us deep. You focus on Chris Johnson and let everybody else take care of themselves. If we stop him, let's make them beat us with somebody else, because they don't have the guy that can do it.
Chris Johnson bottled up for 12 yards on 10 carries. So 3rd and 10, Hasselbeck, center of the field, incomplete. Damian Williams was the intended receiver, and that was about 3 or 4 yards short of Williams.
And there you see it. Hasselbeck dropping back. He's got to get rid of it. The pocket's collapsing around him, and they have nobody that can win on the outside trying to fit that ball into Williams. There's just no way he was going to do it. They had to drop in and max protect with 7 guys, which only leaves 3 guys that can run the route. and none of those three guys got open.
Marcus Sherrills, who's a local product from the University of Minnesota, grew up nearby in Rochester, Minnesota, had a 77-yard return for a touchdown on his birthday against Detroit. Makes the fair catch. Vikings will go to work, leading 13-0 after the 37-yard punt. 13-0 Minnesota, 11.5 minutes left to go in the third. And Steve, do you expect the Vikings to be a little more conservative here with Ponder having those back-to-back interceptions?
I don't think so. I think they're going to run their offense, but let's face it, Ponder spent a lot of time watching himself throw interceptions a year ago.
Rolling out. That's complete for a couple of yards.
That's an easy completion, but we spoke to Ponder on Friday, and he said he spent all off-season having to watch himself throw all those interceptions, 13 interceptions, 13 touchdowns a year ago, and all the disaster plays that happened. He and offensive coordinator Bill Musgrave dissected all of them. What was he thinking? Why he threw that pass? So he spent a lot of time looking at some ugly football that he himself played, and he's better for it.
2nd and 8. Harvin in motion. Ponder, lots of time, finally checks it down to Peterson, and he dives forward to the 35-yard line. Let's check in with the fellas in New York once again for an update. JB and Coach Cowher.
Chicago's defense.
Yeah, that's how you spell offense. Watch Charles Tillman here. 36 yards. He's going to take it, not just pick it off, but score. This is the 4th defensive touchdown in the last 3 games. And Chicago now up 13-3 over Jacksonville.
It all counts, right, Coach? Bill McAtee, Steve Tasker.
Gentlemen, thank you. The Bears, of course, tied with Minnesota atop the NFC North. Also coming in today at 3-1. Keep it on the ground to the 40-yard line. Peterson goes. Babineau made the stop after a pickup of 5.
Peterson is just so tough as he comes through the hole. Watch as he drops his hips and then cuts off. And that his left leg is the one that was actually had surgery on January 1st, New Year's Day, celebrated 2012 with knee surgery, and there showed no ill effects from it.
It really is amazing how quickly he's gotten back into playing shape. Getting better every week here early in the season. Gerhart with a big hole. And upended in Tennessee territory. Inside the 40-yard line to the 38. And there is a Tennessee player down on the 45. That was good for 22 yards.
Every big play Minnesota's come up with has been right up between the guards as Gerhart comes up and cuts right back over the guard center double team. Gets into the secondary immediately and explodes into the back end of the Tennessee defense. Tennessee is going to have to do something down inside over the ball to stop the Vikings from running it right up the middle.
Michael Griffin, who made the stop, woozy getting up.
You see there, he catches Gerhart's left knee on the side of his helmet. And that hurts.
So he'll go to the sideline under his own power.
And they've got a crew of people both with the team and also with the league and also independent parties who evaluate guys when they suspect a concussion.
First and 10 for Minnesota from the Tennessee 38. Ponder rolls out. Harvin swarming Tennessee defense trying to strip the football away.
This Viking team in good short passing game. We'll see if they can continue it.
Once again, let's check in with JB and Coach Cowher in New York for a Week 5 update.
Redemption, Coach?
Yeah, Russell Wilson from the earlier pick 6. He's going to find Golden Tate here from 13 yards out. Breaks the tackle. That puts Seattle up now 13-10.
All sports. Bill McAtee, Steve Tasker.
Thank you, JB. Coach Cowher trying to run their record to 3-2. Harvin with some room. And that is a defensive coordinator's nightmare. Percy Harvin with running room. Mouton finally made the stop after a gain of 9.
Well, they had this matchup earlier in the first half. Werner comes up and tries to get it. If he's just a hair late like he was right there, Percy Harvin is going to get around him. It's a one-on-one matchup that Ponder saw pre-snap, and he just decided to rear up and throw it. And if you can, the faster you get it out there, the better it is, and that worked out perfectly for the Vikings.
1st and 10 from the 27-yard line. The Vikings leading 13-0 on the move. Ponder. Rhett Ellison. Tight end, H-back type out of USC. Guy very much like Jim Kleinsasser. Longtime favorite here in Minnesota. Ellison wearing his number. The Vikings excited about this young man and all the things that he can do, especially in the passing game.
With all the guys contributing, with Adrian Peterson and Percy Harvin, everybody else, anything they give you is gravy, and it really puts more and more pressure on this Titan defense.
To backfield. Ponder runs it to the sideline. That's called for a first down. Roma should do with another catch. He's had a big day.
And this is just a delay route, and Ponder, they threaten the Titans deep with Harvin, and Ponder very quickly decides to go to the wide guy. Roma Shadu just, he accepts the blow, but he makes the catch, and that's a big first down. And, you know, Ponder, as we said earlier, Ponder takes some criticism for settling for the short pass a little too much, but hey, if you get the first down, it's not much to complain about for the Vikings.
6 straight completions after the 2 interceptions. Harvin lowers his shoulder, no running room.
There you go.
Nice play by McCourty.
Same play to the other side. This time McCourty isn't a quarter of a second late like Verner was on the other side, and Harvin can't get away. Great tackle. Mike Munchak said one of the issues that has been facing his Titan defense has been their inability to tackle. First guy to the football doesn't always make the tackle, and that ends up in yards after catch, and it's cost Tennessee dearly in losses.
2nd and 10. Short drop. That was intended for Roma Shadu, who was locked up pretty good.
And this is Harvin down at the bottom of the screen, draws the defense up, and Roma Shadu is going to take the deep route. And that, you can see they leave him one-on-one because Harvin is the guy they're worried about. 2 guys jump up on the short route because they think Harvin is the focal point, and leaves Roma Shadu one-on-one deep. They couldn't connect, but that was the idea.
Brian Mouton had the coverage. 11th play of the drive coming up. Third and 10. Ponder keeps his feet, buys some time, takes off, and he's going to be short of the first down by 2.5 yards.
And that's not a hit you want to see Christian Ponder accept. And the coverage is going to be at the bottom of the screen. Harvin is going to be once again the focal point. He comes open for just a moment. And here's the other side. Coverage by the Titans in the back end. And of course, this is when Ponder breaks contain, slips out of the tackle by Wembley. He took a good shot at the end of that.
Walsh, good again. This from 26 yards out. And it is a 16-0 Minnesota lead with 5:07 left to go in the third. Well, we're back, and a little Beauty and the Beast theme we've got going on. They love their Vikings here in Minnesota. Now they lead it 16-0, 5:07 left to go in the third, and no return once again. Reynaud takes a knee. And Hasselbeck trying to get something going on offense for the Titans. Time of possession has been a big focal point for the Titans. They came in today averaging just 25 minutes a game, trailing 25 minutes to 14:44 as we start this series. And that is caught by Kendall Wright, the rookie, with a first down. Let's see where they spot his forward progress. He might have gone back a little bit, and it will be just short of the 30.
And this is the tough day that Chris Johnson has had. You knew coming in they were going to try and get him going to complement his game from a week ago when he had 141 yards, but nothing doing. The Vikings saw him coming and they are not letting it happen. 12 yards on the day.
On 10 carries, coming off his 29th 100-yard rushing performance. Hasselbeck's sidearm was a marker down on the play, and that picks up enough for the first down, but let's check the penalty.
Holding number 76 of the offense. 10-yard penalty, still second down.
Call that on Dave Stewart, Big Country.
Right in front, working right there against Griffin. And he's got him locked up across his chin, and they're going to call that.
Everson Griffin, who has really blossomed here in his third year in Minnesota. He told us Jared Allen has become a mentor for him, and Griffin came in leading the Vikings with 3 sacks, 2 of those coming last week. 2nd and 10.
Round.
Hasselbeck. Incomplete. Too high for Craig Stevens.
Yeah, that's Hasselbeck trying to fit it in, but as long as the Vikings can drop 7 guys into coverage, you can see Chris Cook drops back off his corner position, gets help from Sanford, the safety. No place Hasselbeck looks doesn't have 2 defenders in the area because the Vikings can get pressure with just their front 4.
And Jared Cook, who is usually such a big part of this Tennessee offense, has been banged up and has not been a factor today. 3rd and 10. Hasselbeck. Incomplete. Lucky that wasn't picked off. Nate Washington was in the vicinity, but that's about it.
Good job up front by the Vikings. They drop out Everson Griffin there into pass coverage. And you can see all the purple jerseys. When the ball goes in the air, the Vikings really rally to the football. They've done an outstanding job all day of watching Matt Hasselbeck and getting a key on where he's throwing the football. They've recognized routes and broken on every throw. It's really been a long day for Hasselbeck in the passing game.
Brett Kern, who came in averaging just about 50 yards a punt. The catch is made by Sherrills. And the Vikings will take over after a 42-yard punt, leading 16-0. Vikings take over 1st and 10 from their own 39-yard line. 2:36 left to go in the 3rd. They lead at 16-0. Peterson. Adrian Peterson into Tennessee territory.
And once again, the Vikings show up, and they are just dominating the front 7 in the run game. Adrian Peterson takes a hard cut out to the right, away from the pursuit. Tennessee has no answer for this running game of Minnesota.
And those jump cuts, those are the things that you can tell Peterson feels confident that the knee is sound and he can play the way he always has. Peterson 89 yards on the day. Gets it again. Down to the 44-yard line. Jarrell Casey made the stop. It's been a good day running the football for the Vikings.
Right up the middle, there's Adrian Peterson, picks his way through the secondary. And Christian Ponder has shown his wheels as well. Of course, Gerhardt getting right up the middle as well, right over the football, right between the guards. Adrian Peterson coming off, taking a breather.
151 yards rushing for Minnesota, only 32 for Tennessee. 2nd and 9. Ponder slings it out to Ellison, still on his feet. Rhett Ellison, the rookie, down to the 15.
That's another missed tackle on Ellison that turns into an enormous play. It should have been brought up a 3rd down. It's going to be a 1st down in the red zone. As Ponder puts it out to Ellison, this is a tackle that has to be made. And McCarthy just can't get it done. And you want to know why Tennessee has struggled defensively and why they were 1-3 coming into this game. That's the reason right there. Defensively, they just can't get off the field.
Peterson checks back in.
Tight, Flacco.
29 yards on the completion and run by Ellison. Ponder. Stephen Burton dropped by Jason McCourty. Wednesday on Survivor, shifting alliances and a devious scheme leave the tribes in turmoil. Don't miss an all-new Survivor. Wednesday, only CBS.
Tennessee would love to survive this, not get voted off the island.
We're good. Down.
They've got 1 foot in the boat.
Ready.
2nd and 4. Peterson. Nice job by the Tennessee defense.
Well, you talk about how this game has gone for Tennessee offensively. They've had 9 possessions, one of which was a kneel down at halftime. And the other 8 possessions, they've gone 3 and out 4 times. So they're not, and they've turned it over twice. So they're not giving their defense any help on that side of the football. And you can see there now defensively, they're having trouble getting the Vikings stopped. And it's just been a relentless progression down the field seemingly every series for Minnesota.
3rd and 5. The Titans have been in some one-sided losses, and they got to keep him out of the end zone. Nice move by Harvin. Percy Harvin, touchdown! What a play!
Mike Munchak was right about his defense. They are really struggling to tackle. Percy Harvin right off the wing back. He's going to come out. 1 missed tackle there, 2, 3. And he just walks into the end zone. And once again, a play that should have been tackled for little or no gain gives Percy Harvin 108 receiving yards on the day.
Blair Walsh with the extra point. 23-0. It has been all Vikings here in Week 5 in Minnesota. Percy Harvin has been a one-man wrecking crew for the Minnesota Vikings today against the Tennessee Titans. 6 plays on the drive. Harvin spectacular. 10-yard touchdown. 23-0 Minnesota. Julius Raynaud just wants a chance. He's going to bring it out from 9 yards deep. Raynaud trying to cut to the outside and lost his footing and brought down at the 23. So that's the end of the 3rd quarter. With the score 23-0 Vikings, will return to Minneapolis after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 47. Very one-sided affair as we're set to start the final quarter. 23-0 Vikings. Titans 1st and 10 from their own 23. Hasselbeck dumps it down. Jared Cook, who's been very quiet, a gain of 7. Tonight on CBS, get into the most entertaining epic adventure on TV. Catch a new episode of the Emmy Award-winning Amazing Race. That's tonight, only CBS. Chris Johnson. Vikings, Steve, 3-1 after coming off a disastrous 3-13 season in 2011. They have been outstanding on defense and special teams, and that has really taken the pressure off Christian Ponder in the offense as they've had time to kind of find their rhythm. And they have looked good on defense today. That's caught, but no running room for Jared Cook, the tight end.
And it's interesting because it's virtually the same roster with some tweaks on the outer, but the playmakers and the key people on this roster are the same as the ones that went 3-13 last year. But you put a quarterback with 1 year of experience in there who doesn't throw the catastrophic interception too often, and it makes your team a little better.
2nd and 6. Johnson to the 40.
And I think you can tip your hat to Minnesota for not bailing on Leslie Frazier as well, giving him the opportunity to get his people in place and find his rhythm as a head coach. Says a lot about the patience here, but also about how good he handled that 3-13 season of a year ago as head coach, interim head coach.
3rd and 3. Slant, and that is caught by Wright. Kendall Wright, the rookie, with enough for a first down. Pickup of 10, and they'll spot it right at midfield.
Personal foul for the passer, number 97, the defense. 15 yards added to the end of the play, first down.
And that will march him back another 15 yards. The flag back at the 32-yard line of the Titans.
On Everson Griffin.
And that has been, one of the issues for Everson Griffin. A man with a world of athletic ability, but sometimes he can make some foolish mistakes. First and 10. Spotted at the 35. Hasselbeck out quickly, and that is caught by Damian Williams.
He spoke to Everson Griffin on Friday, and it was pretty engaging. He's taken a huge step forward defensively. He says this is really a year where he feels so much more comfortable now in the defense. He can think about the offense rather than his assignment on defense.
2nd and 1 after the completion. Here's Johnson, pushed back.
Get the first down there, I think.
Forward progress will be right at the line to gain.
I wonder, after he took that, still talking about Griffin, after he took that personal foul, he's a guy where Alan Williams, the defensive coordinator, and this is the penalty for roughing the passer. He takes an extra couple of steps, and that is a
That's
less than flagrant
yeah.
roughing the quarterback call.
There may have been a little floppage there.
He's not going to lose any sleep over that penalty, and neither will Leslie Frazier.
First and 10. Tennessee. Hasselbeck buys some extra time. That intended for Jared Cook and batted away by Jasper Brinkley, who has played well since becoming the starter at middle linebacker.
There are not too many guys getting wide open in the secondary for the Vikings for Matt Hasselbeck to find. As you see there, you see what he sees. Cook is covered, so is Washington behind him, and Hasselbeck is backpedaling to buy himself more time, and there's just nobody to throw it to.
11:42 left in the 4th. 2nd and 10. Hasselbeck up the sideline, incomplete. Josh Robinson had terrific coverage on Kenny Britt.
We have not talked about Kenny Britt today. He was a question mark coming in. He worked out before the game was game time decision, and you see there Robinson manhandling down the sidelines.
Britt missed last week with an ankle injury. They wanted to give him a shot today, but he has not been a factor. 3rd and 10. Johnson in the backfield with Hasselbeck on 3rd down, 3rd and long. Inside route to Kendall Wright. And the rookie goes for the marker.
Just does get it.
Heady play for Kendall Wright.
That was a tremendous effort by that rookie.
And then leading the Titans with 18 catches, a couple of touchdowns. Up-tempo offense. 1st and 10, Hasselbeck again finds Wright. He dives to the 10. And that was good for 5. Clock continuing to run inside of 11 minutes remaining.
Very familiar with this offense. This is not new territory for Hasselbeck. He's done this a lot before, did it last year.
To the end zone and touchdown. Jared Cook, who has finally come to life here in the 4th quarter.
And that was an excellent throw by Hasselbeck. threaded the needle right down the middle of the defense. And the up-tempo, I think, really helped the Titans on this drive. Great head fake by Cook, then to get up right through the middle of the defense. Watch what Hasselbeck sees. The head fake, and then right over the top of the linebacker's head, right over Brinkley's head.
That was a nice adjustment on the football for the touchdown catch. So the Tennessee Titans are on the board with 10:35 left to play in the fourth. Baronis with the extra point, 23-7. Nice drive from the Titans. $77 yards on the scoring drive compared with a total of 96 yards on the previous 9 possessions.
And the group center at Kenny Britt, Hasselbeck, Washington. That's Chris Palmer with the hat on, the offensive coordinator. And that's Locker right there.
So the Vikings lead by 16. Onside kick. Scramble for it.
Looked like Tennessee had it on the way down.
And we've got a flag.
It might be illegal touch, but it looks like they're past 10 yards.
There's a lot to work through here.
It's so difficult to decipher what's going to happen here because it's not a normal down and distance play. You can throw the regular rule book out when special teams come into play. Not only can you not touch the football as a kicking team before it goes 10 yards, you can't make contact with the receiving team before the ball goes 10 yards either. And if you're out of bounds when you recover it, it's an out of bounds kick that will go to the receiving team, whether you're on the kicking team or not. Whoever, if it's out of bounds, it's out of bounds.
Leslie Frazier nonplussed. Baronis explaining things.
What happens as well, that ball, the Baronis kick, he drove it into the ground to kick it. Watch. You see how the ball bounced? That means it's not a kick, it's a bouncing kick, so you can't fair catch it or anything like that. And see, so the ability to catch the football is rendered void. Normally, if it was in the air, the Vikings get a chance to catch it until it reaches the ground. And you see there, this ball goes out of bounds.
By the kicking team. It will be the receiving team's ball, 5-yard penalty added where the dead ball spot, 1st and 10.
How can that be an out of bounds kick when it was touched before it went out of bounds? You see here, that is touched.
Alteron Werner.
Werner gets a piece of it. And okay, it's out of bounds. That's it.
So that was a good call because it was,
the fact that it was touched inbounds is irrelevant.
yeah, it was controlled out of bounds.
Correct. Even if most of your body is inbounds and you have your toe on the line that's out of bounds, everything's out of bounds, the ball and you.
So the Vikings will take over in great field position with a 16-point lead from the Tennessee 43. Gerhardt gets it on 1st down. Rumbles forward to the 37. Felton, the fullback, made a nice block. Gain of 6. Well, nobody knows the game like a quarterback. Don't miss Phil Simms, Rich Gannon, Steve Berline, and special guest Dan Fouts on NFL Monday Quarterback tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern, only on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.
A room full of quarterbacks sounds like an argument to me.
2nd and 4. Inside of 10 minutes left in the fourth. Gerhardt again. He had 3 fumbles late in the game, lost 2 of them when the Vikings were trying to run the timeout against the 49ers. They went on to win, gave it back to him a few times last week. No problem holding on to the football, but that was a concern coming out of the San Francisco game.
Yeah. Adrian Peterson told us that 49er victory for the Vikings taught the Viking players something about themselves. That was a big emotional win for this team after 3-13 last year to beat the Niners, who were in the NFC Championship game last year. I think that spoke volumes to this club about where they could go.
Movement before the snap.
Neutral zone infraction, number 97 of the defense. It's a 5-yard penalty, results in a first down.
It's a smart play by the offensive line of the Vikings. Klug. When the defense jumps into the neutral zone, then the offensive lineman can move, and it's on the defense.
Now it was the rookie Matt Khalil who moved after Carl Klug jumped.
That's a smart play by the rookie left tackle, who has been nothing but impressive all season.
4th overall selection out of USC, and he has been everything they wanted him to be and more. The delay, maybe a yard for Gerhardt.
Yeah, and even now with the score 23-7 with 8:44 left in the game, you can tell this is the first point where the Vikings have taken their foot off the gas and put it in the hands of their offensive linemen and their running backs. They're going to try and milk the clock, stay in bounds. They're in field goal range now with the surprise onside kick going against them.
Blair Walsh has a 55-yarder. He has 3 50-plus already this year. Gerhardt down to the 20. Another first down. Pickup of 11.
Yeah, that surprise onside kick that went against the Titans has just come back to haunt them. The Vikings are just bulldozing the Titans down the field to try and put this game away. And they're using Gerhardt to do it.
Continues to run.
Ready?
Ponder trying to set up the screen, and there was nothing there. Finally gets rid of it, and that is caught. Rudolph, the tight end. Well, for those of you expecting to see 60 Minutes, you're watching the NFL on CBS. In the game between the Tennessee Titans and Minnesota Vikings, Bill McAtee along with Steve Tasker. 60 Minutes will be seen in its entirety immediately following this game, except for those of you on the West Coast. 5 yards on the previous play, so 2nd and 5 for the Vikings. They lead it 23-7, trying to run their record to 4-1. Ponder to the end zone. Rudolph, touchdown. His 4th touchdown reception of the season.
And that was the best throw Christian Ponder has made all day. It was absolutely perfect. And just when we thought the Vikings were going to take their foot off the gas, they took a shot at the back of the end zone, and Christian Ponder dropped a dart right into the bullseye.
That had to be a perfect throw.
Look at the arc he puts on it to drop it vertically down in the chute, and Rudolph pulls it in. Wow.
Griffin couldn't knock it away. Good hands from Rudolph. Extra point is good, and now it is a 30-7 Viking lead. Touchdown, Minnesota. Tight ends have been a problem for the Tennessee defense. Rudolph just 23 yards, but a big play there to basically put the game away. Reynaud watches it sail out of the end zone. Blair Walsh has just been spectacular. 30-7, 6.5 minutes left in the 4th. Christian Ponder, 25 of 35 for 258 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Blair Walsh, 3 field goals today and 5 touchbacks. Titans take over from their own 20. Hasselbeck, screen to Johnson. Upended after a short gain. pickup of 5. Chad Greenway knifed in there to make the stop.
Tennessee going to go no huddle here. They get some momentum going. It'll be interesting to see how conservatively the Viking defense plays with a game with a 23-point lead.
Cook. Let's take another look at the Minnesota touchdown.
Is Rudolph at the end of the line of scrimmage. He's going to get both these defenders following him to this corner of the end zone, and watch Ponder as he drops this in. The thing about it, Rudolph, 6'6", and going up high to catch that. Tough for those defensive backs to jump that high. Gets it at the highest point, squeezes it, goes all the way to the ground with it. Tremendous play on both ends of that pass by Ponder and Rudolph.
426 yards to 169 for Tennessee, and that was incomplete. Tried to go back to Cook.
Jamarcus Sanford once again on the defensive play for the Vikings. Great job.
Games the Titans have lost have not been close ones. They've been beaten by 21, 28, and 24 points. Their one win was the shootout against Detroit. Tennessee won in overtime 44-41, but now they trail by 23 with 5.5 minutes left in regulation. Hasselbeck gets the play off. Batted down, incomplete. That'll bring up 3rd down.
And this is what the Viking defense has looked for the entire game. Their front four just with its ears back, getting as good a pass rush as they can. Kevin Williams coming around the corner all by himself. Hasselbeck has to throw it or take the sack.
Williams in his 10th year at Oklahoma State came in with 54.5 career sacks, the most by a defensive tackle in the league since 2003, and got good penetration there. 3rd and 10 for the Titans. Vikings rush 4, able to get rid of it, and a 1st down for Nate Washington. And about a yard to spare.
The only reason you can really tip your hat to Matt Hasselbeck today, hasn't played his best game. I think he was sharper last year when he went through an entire training camp to get the starting job, but today not as sharp. The one thing you can tell, though, he has not taken many sacks, even though he's gotten pressure.
1st down, they're on the slant. Kenny Britt with his 1st catch.
We spoke about Hasselbeck all through this game about how it was going to be an easy transition, but I don't think there's any question. Jake Locker took all the reps in training camp as the starter. He was named the starter before the season began, so Hasselbeck shows some rust by standing and watching a lot.
Go back to Britt. That time he can't bring it in. Incomplete. Jake Locker and Matt Hasselbeck have developed a nice friendship. Hasselbeck has been a good mentor for the young man out of the University of Washington. 8th pick overall last year. Won the starting quarterback job in camp after a season backing up and watching Matt Hasselbeck, the seasoned veteran. 3rd and 5. Hasselbeck rolling to his right. Guns it, and that's caught by Kendall Wright. The rookie has a 1st down.
And for his part, Matt Hasselbeck has done everything the Titans have asked him to do. They asked him to come in, start for a year, mentor a young quarterback that they got in the draft last year, Jake Locker. He did that, led them to a 9-7 record, showed leadership, showed, set a culture in the offensive room that should be adhered to, and Locker has benefited from it.
Hasselbeck with time to Ringer. Tried to cut it back, but dropped at the 41. That was good for 6 yards. Clock continues to run, just over 4 minutes left in the 4th.
But this is a team in Tennessee that really, particularly with Locker at quarterback, but even so with Hasselbeck, they're a team that needs to run the football effectively.
puts it into the ground.
They need to run the football effectively, and they haven't been able to do that. With Locker or Hasselbeck at quarterback, Chris Johnson has just not gotten on track.
3rd and 4. Chris Johnson, 13 carries, 19 yards. They have to get to the 37 for a first down, and again they go to right, and the rookie moves the sticks. Robinson made the tackle, the nickelback. Right, 8 catches for 55 yards.
He had 18 catches for 148 yards coming into this game. I think he's a young player that the Titans are really doing their best to get the ball to.
Hasselbeck, pump fake, then checks it down to Ringer. And that was a nice open field tackle by the rookie out of Central Florida, Robinson. And Ringer's down. Grabbing the left knee. So an injury timeout on the field. 13-12 left in the fourth. Vikings in control. Back in Minnesota, Javon Ringer still down on the far sideline. In obvious pain as they were taking a look at the knee. And let's see if we can pick up what happened. That left foot planted, and then you might want to look away. This is, oh, goodness gracious.
Robinson trying to keep him in bounds. And to his credit, Robinson, as soon as it was evident that Ringer was hurt, Robinson released him and tried to get away from him to let him right himself. As you can see, they're bent awkwardly.
So they will lift him onto the truck. Take him into the locker room. Ringer came back last week after missing the first 3 games of the season with an elbow injury. 4th season out of Michigan State.
Head coach Mike Munchak.
This is an important stretch, obviously, for the Titans. They played the 4th most difficult schedule in the league so far. 1-3 coming in. Vikings today. They'll lose this one. Then Pittsburgh coming into LP Field for a Thursday night game in 4 days. Concern for their teammate, Javon Ringer. Nice ovation for this young man, former 5th-round draft pick. And you can just hope for the best. So play will resume with the clock running. Just over 3 minutes remaining in the 4th. Hasselbeck with time, center of the field, Cook. And again, Cook, who for the first 3 quarters of the game was just about non-existent. All of a sudden, 5 catches for 37 yards and a touchdown. That was good for 10.
Now the Titans trying to rebound after losing one of their players. Come back and be effective offensively.
Batted down. Chris Johnson had lots of running room out in the flat. He was waving for the football, but Hasselbeck didn't see him.
Once again, Kevin Williams draped all over Hasselbeck. You see here the tip passes.
Been a problem all game long for the Titans. 5 sacks last week against Detroit. Minnesota has been able to harass the passer. The delay to Johnson. Chris Johnson. Fierce tackle inside the 10 down to the 9.
Just short of the first down marker.
Vikings lead it 30-7. Minnesota on their way to 4-1. Titans for the end zone. Kendall Wright incomplete. Good coverage from the cornerback Chris Cook.
Great release by Wright. He's going to go up. Hard to time your jump. You're trying to both avoid the defender and keep him away from the football and give yourself the best opportunity to play the ball at its highest point. It's hard to do all that at once and get up to put your hands on the football as it drops out of that out of the rafters of the building. Tough play, but both players played it pretty well. Chris Wright just couldn't get his hands on it.
4th and 1. Last play before the 2-minute warning. Vikings showing blitz. They run it. Nothing doing. It will go over on downs. Chad Greenway and Robert Blanton combined to make the stop. And we have reached the 2-minute warning. Vikings lead it 30-7. Next Sunday, the NFL on CBS highlights regional matchups, including the Colts at the Jets, the Raiders and the high-flying Falcons, and the Patriots taking on the Seahawks. Check your local listings, beginning with JB, Dan, Coach, Shannon, and Boomer on the NFL Today, presented by Southwest Airlines. So backup quarterback Joe Webb has come on to take a knee. Christian Ponder, another win. His final numbers, 258 yards. The streak finally came to an end. Back-to-back interceptions for Ponder, but still getting the victory, and he was solid, Steve, once again today.
He really was. Made a few more throws down the football field that turned out very well for the Vikings. One to Percy Harvin, and then the touchdown, of course, to Rudolph, his tight end late in the game to ice it. Percy Harvin, I mean, what can you say about that guy?
Look out. Spectacular day for Percy Harvin. Tennessee taking their first time out. 2nd and 11. They will hand it off to Asiata. Backup running back. That's his first carry of the season in his first year out of Utah.
Tennessee will take their 2nd timeout.
Let's take a look at Percy Harvin. Today, he came in #1 in the NFL in yards after the catch and added to that today, certainly.
Well, they're finding more and more creative ways to get the football into his hands, out of the backfield, out of the slot as a wide receiver. Of course, when you can do things like this, you get the ball more and more. 8 rushing yards, 108 receiving yards,
He has
and a
caught
couple of touchdowns.
A pass, Steve, in every game he's played in his NFL career. 52 straight. 3rd and 6. Asiata once again.
Since week 6 of last year, Harvin has really blossomed, and coincidentally, that was the exact time when Christian Ponder took over as starting quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings. And Harvin and Ponder have really blossomed together.
See the punting unit on 4th and 4, and Percy Harvin, pretty impressive with Christian Ponder at the controls.
15 games, his touches have gone up 4 per game. His yardage has gone up. His touchdown, 34 games to score 12 touchdowns, 15 games to score 8. And he added to that today, 16 games for 10 touchdowns.
Vikings with 433 total yards today, a season high. That after failing to score a touchdown on offense last week. Klui's punt. Renaud feels it at the 29. Tries to cut back and brought down near the 40. 1:31 left to play here in the fourth.
Rusty Smith coming on a quarterback for the Titans.
Came in today having appeared in just 2 regular season games in his NFL career. His 3rd year out of Florida Atlantic. Former sixth round pick back in 2010.
Well, there's no doubt the Titans have some issues they've got to address. Defensively, they've got to tackle better. Offensively, they've got to find somebody to get down the football field, somebody they can get the football in the hands of other than Chris Johnson, because as long as a defense can only focus or only has to focus on Chris Johnson, the Titans are going to be at a disadvantage in every game.
Titans out of timeouts. Damian Williams with the catch, but there's a marker down.
Illegal formation, offense. 5 yards penalty, wide out, covered up the tight end. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
One reason you set Matt Hasselbeck down in this situation, you know, they need him. They need him healthy, and if Locker can't get back into the game next week, you can bet Hasselbeck is going to have a better performance, or at least have another week of practice under his belt to be more consistent. But no question, Hasselbeck is the guy if Locker can't go, and they don't want anything to happen to him and for things to get even worse in Tennessee.
1st and 15 after the penalty, incomplete. 1:21 left in the fourth. Taylor Thompson, the intended receiver.
There's all looking for answers on the Tennessee sideline. Chris Johnson really, and it's been said a lot, he held out before last season to get a better contract. He came back, did not have the kind of season he's used to, or Tennessee fans are used to. Has yet to get back to that form.
Caught near the 42-yard line. Greenway making the stop. Thompson with the catch. Rookie out of SMU, 5th-round draft pick back in April. Third and 8. Kendall Wright into Minnesota territory and gets the first down. Chad Greenway made the stop.
You can see one thing you like about Tennessee, Kendall Wright is really continuing to play as hard as he can. The first-year player out of Baylor.
9 catches for 66 yards for Wright. One of the few bright spots today, and that is incomplete over the head of Damian Williams. Chris Johnson, 15 carries, 24 yards.
And that tells you all you need to know about Tennessee's offense. If you're going to put your offense through the hands of Chris Johnson, you've got to be more productive than that. And Matt Hasselbeck can't do that for him. It's got to be the offensive line, Chris Johnson himself, and they've got to get some help from people on the outside to take the pressure off of that running game. Until they do that, Chris Johnson is going to be, he's going to get beat up. He's going to be very sore on Mondays.
They run it, and we have a whistle before the snap.
This is going to be on the left tackle.
False start. Number 71 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Michael Ruse, the left tackle.
Look at those standings.
The updated standings in the NFC North. And the Bears, yeah, we expected that. But how about Green Bay? Losing today to Indianapolis, 2-3 now.
Indianapolis Colts rising up for their coach hospitalized with leukemia, Chuck Pagano. And what an effort they put forth to beat Green Bay today at home in Indianapolis.
Renaud falls forward to the 45. And that should be it. See if they're going to regroup and try to get one more playoff. They will. Maybe take a shot. Nope. Kenny Britt. His time expires. 30-7 Vikings. Minnesota 4-1, Tennessee 1-4. Tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes, followed by new episodes of The Amazing Race, The Good Wife, and The Mentalist. Only CBS. So for Steve Tasker, Bill McAtee saying so long from Minnesota, you've been watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super